Hello and welcome to the Geeks Review Quickie, YouTube exclusive. Pointing fingers, finger guns.
Yeah, no, we're going to need to find a better name for that.
Quick fire round.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the first 3 episodes of She-Hulk, which have come out.
She-Hulk, avocado at law.
What do you think?
This is definitely a show not to take seriously. Though there are very serious concepts in it, it is foremost a comedy, which is a bit more lighthearted on serious matters. It's pretty much a comedy version of Daredevil, but dealing with the responsibilities of being a Hulk.
Yeah, have you seen Daredevil?
Yes.
Did that delve much into the lore side of things, or was it more just...
It delves into the law side a bit, but then they focused a bit more on the career as Daredevil, trying to find that of Murdoch, trying to find that nice balance of being an attorney and trying to be the Daredevil.
Yeah, I should really get around to watching that.
Yeah.
It does feel like it's sort of skipped a few steps. Like we finally got some lore stuff in episode 3, but it's kind of like I don't really know these characters yet. You know, we've sort of focused more on Jen as opposed to her friends, and
Yeah.
I guess getting to see them in action is the best way to do that, to get to know their character, to kind of see them taking this more light-hearted approach. It's wild.
It is very wild. Strap yourselves in, kids, because this is... tries to hit the ground running.
Yeah, first episode we get that flashback to her origins.
A much better version of her origin.
Yeah, I've seen some people talk about how they wished the mob angle was still there.
Not really. Plus, it was also done originally via a blood transfusion. Not a, don't get my blood in your system. Which I think it makes a bit more sense, because you're not meant to mix bloods in wounds by accident.
Yeah, by having it be as bloody as they can be on a MPG rated show.
Yes.
And it leads to this accidental transformation. And, I mean, not to parrot what Mr. Sunday Movies have just said in their podcast episode where they kind of talked about it. But yeah, there's so much criticism and just sexism and just stuff online, and people are like saying, oh, we wish the mob's the thing. But, one, the mob don't really exist in the MCU.
No, they haven't delved deeper into the criminal element. I mean, they briefly did in Punisher, but Punisher's still in that grey area.
Yeah, it's not like your Sopranos mobsters anymore. We don't have the Godfather.
You know, you've got the Magia, the Hand. You got all these nearly fantastical groups. There is no plain old...
Yeah, see? We're going to shoot you with our Tommy guns. Yeah. See? Stick them up, kid. Also, Bruce, the Hulk, is in a different context in the MCU as he was next to the Thing, where he was always on the run.
Yep.
He was a criminal at large. So, I think, we've spoken a lot about adaptations.
Yes.
And how there's compromise and there's inspiration. And what do you think this sort of falls on that spectrum?
I think this falls under compromise in places.
Very much so.
It definitely feels like they've compromised a fair bit just to create a good narrative. Granted, we're still, I think, halfway through the series.
Oh, no, it's 12 episodes.
Oh, never mind then. We're still in the first third.
Yeah, we're barely through this.
Wow.
Barely got a sense of what the show's going to be. Do you think they're trolling the audience with like the Megan Thee Stallion stuff?
Yeah, they were. That was definitely they were taking the mickey.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
I saw someone online say this is why VFX artists are demanding a raise. It's the twerking scene. It's like, I think this is the joke and everyone's missing it.
Yeah.
Because we're smart. We know.
We try to be smarter than we know.
Yeah. There's potential there to see the ironically more human side of the MCU.
Or attempt to see a more human side. I mean, the last episode we had, episode 3, because we're a week behind, sadly, introduced the Wrecking Crew.
Yes, that was the villains who attacked her at the end, was it?
Yeah, the Asgard, the bunch of humans that stole Asgardian construction equipment.
It's funny, as you say that, I'm like, I've heard of them in the comics.
Yes.
Yeah.
They had one with a magic crowbar that acted like a Mjolnir. They were just street folks that had got an Asgardian equipment. And it kind of enhanced them.
It's funny that twerking scene took so much focus away from what was in that episode. You had the Abomination, Tim Roth,
Yes.
is back.
You've had him for the last couple of episodes, and everyone's just glossing over that, oh, Tim Roth's back. We actually get to see Tim Roth as the Abomination again.
It's funny, a year ago, Shang-Chi came out, like, almost to the day.
Yes.
And Abomination was in that as a purely CGI thing. And I remember hearing a review, I think it was a Cinema Snob, and he talked about, like, I've wanted to see that guy come back for years. And I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be Tim Roth, isn't it? But no, it was Ben Kingsley.
Yeah.
Because, that movie had a lot of stuff going on there as well. But Tim Roth wasn't in that at all, but he's here, and it's like...
He's back.
So many years. I mean, 2008, The Incredible Hulk came out.
Yeah.
And the MCU is still, like, several years in the future from us. It's like 2024 or something.
Yeah.
2025?
2026, I think.
Oh, God, that far ahead. Wow.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
And nearly, like, that's 18 years then after
Yeah.
The Incredible Hulk. That's
They literally make a joke about it. My cousin was a completely different person back then.
very on the nose.
A nice stab there.
It does highlight as well, because it was a year ago we lost William Hurt, who was Thunderbolt Ross. And I was always thinking, like, are they going to do the Red Hulk with him or not?
Oh, I was so looking forward to a Red Hulk.
I wonder what they'll do now. They'll probably, if they're ever going to venture there, be interesting.
Well,
I think
they are going into the multiverse stuff now, so maybe we'll get a alternate younger Thunderbolt Ross. Because I noticed that so far they have been building up to the Thunderbolts or the Dark Avengers in the with these shows.
Sam Elliott played him in the Ang Lee Hulk.
Yes.
He comes across as a cowboy, but he comes from more, privileged upbringing than you'd expect, given the image that he's crafted for himself. He was in that Golden Compass movie?
Yes.
Yeah, and then Lin-Manuel Miranda played the same character in his Dark Materials.
Yeah.
And bring in Lin-Manuel Miranda as Red Hulk.
Maybe.
Why not? Yeah, you could do that. Go back that'd be a change. Go back 40 years and say he's like, Thunderbolt Ross from the 80s or something. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, but then you got a continuity thing going.
Speaking of continuity, we had an allusion to Wolverine.
Yes, we did. A little newspaper article. Man with metal claws fights an entire bar in Canada.
Yeah, well, that brings in the question of X-Men.
More mutants.
Yeah, that's right, because Ms. Marvel ended on the whole mutant stinger, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Because they didn't quite want to go to their, she's an Eternal.
Inhuman, wasn't she? In the comics?
Yeah.
There's so many people in these comics. How can anyone keep track?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. No, she was an Inhuman.
She was going to be a mutant originally. Iman Vellani actually said that when she was created, she was going to be a mutant. But Ike Perlmutter, who is the weird Marvel Trump supporter guy who's in charge of everything, who thinks all black people look alike, wanted to push the Inhumans because at the time Fox had their claws in the X-Men and the mutants. So
Yes, they did.
It's all coming together.
It is, slowly. I mean, there's been a few characters that I've noticed that possibly could have been mutants popping up. It's like, could it be?
Who's that then?
Oh, there's been many people going back. Granted, they may start reclassifying old heroes that we've already got. Like, they may reclassify Scarlet Witch.
I wonder where she is. I don't get the feeling that she's dead. I just feel like she's just gone away for a time and she'll be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't treat her in like a death.
No. We'll just have to see going forward. I think this is going to be not used as a jumping off point for other shows, but I think it's going to be a bit more of the glue that's going to hold some stuff together going forward.
Because the original not the original She-Hulk comic, but the one that everyone likes is the somewhat self-referential, fourth wall breaking, let's address continuity issues in a fun, playful way. Let's not definitively say we're going to fix things, but we're going to...
Yeah, we're just going to try and explain a few things.
So it'll be interesting if the show does take that route.
Yes. I think they may use the later half as a jumping off point for certain things. Like, we have seen a shot of the Daredevil in one of the trailers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that what it's from?
Yes.
Right.
Where he jumps on the car and she's wearing the purple and white spandex.
And is he in like his yellow costume?
I think it's his yellow costume or his red suit from
Yeah.
the Netflix show, because they are doing a continuation of Daredevil with Born Again.
Yeah, it's very overt, that title, isn't it?
Yes, and then you've got Kingpin popping back up in Echo as well, along with Murdoch.
Yeah.
And they have said that Matt Murdock will appear probably in She-Hulk as an attorney, because they did come across each other, superhero lawyers. Really cool concept.
Yeah, there's the famous artwork actually of her in the elevator with Matt Murdock next to her. You just don't sort of... It's harder to pick in the comics sometimes because, like, so many different artists, so many different interpretations.
Yes.
But the red glasses should always stand out. Yeah. I'm kind of thinking back to the few trailers we have seen, and I think we've mostly seen a lot of the stuff already.
Yeah.
Which, 9 episodes left, it speaks to interesting things.
Yeah.
Because Loki sort of seemed like it was going to be the jumping off point for a lot of interdimensional multiverse stuff.
Well, it kind of was.
In introducing it as a concept, but we haven't really seen it yet.
Well, we did see a bit more of it with No Way Home.
Well, yeah, I mean, the way that He Who Remains sort of talks about timelines and things, this Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man feels like different universes altogether.
Because they were.
Yeah, but different, like a different thing from like the timelines.
Yeah.
You know, it's like with Star Trek. You've got the Kelvin timeline, which is different
The
to like
movies.
the mirror universe and all the other timelines and universes that you see. It's a big mess.
It is a huge mess, and that's just how comics are sometimes.
I think it's interesting in a way that no one really knows what's going on.
No.
Like before, you could kind of go, "Oh, that's an Infinity Stone," and it's going to lead to Thanos, and that's kind of where we're going to go. Thanos wants to destroy Half-Life in the universe. We know where we're going, so there's no real surprises for the comic book fans. But now, I think people are just scratching their heads.
Trying to figure out what's the next big threat, and a lot of people are pointing to Kang.
Well, Kang's just going to be in an Ant-Man movie, which has always been pretty low stakes
Yes.
kind of thing. So, is he even going to be a big deal?
Don't know. I honestly think we may actually start getting a build up to better things, because now that Fox is being reintegrated back in slowly, I think we might start seeing some better things of a fantastic nature.
Galactus, maybe?
Galactus, Silver Surfer, maybe even a small appearance of a cosmic force that affects only a handful of people.
Oh, yeah.
The Phoenix Force.
Oh, no, not again.
I'm being a little bit too subtle then.
No, not again. Well, yeah, we've been
Or
working
in this case,
on...
it may be the Phoenix 5 in the classic A versus X series.
Yeah. Well, coming very shortly, hopefully this month, we've got our X-Men podcast I do with Jake called Experts, where we've been going through all the movies over the last year.
And Experts.
Yes, Experts.
Isn't that a little derivative? We've got X-Force, X-Men.
Yeah, true. Maybe. But yeah, the Phoenix Force has been done so many times.
Yeah, it has. But it's always focused on the Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
Never the Phoenix, or my favorite, the Phoenix 5 from the Avengers vs. X-Men series.
I'll have to look into that, because that's
Which
new to me.
affected Magic, Colossus, Emma Frost, and a few others.
Is that the gold uniforms they had? I think
Yeah.
I know Emma Frost's like gold and white uniform the most.
There was a few of them that got affected. It happened sometime after House of M came to a conclusion, because it focused on Cable's adopted daughter, Hope Summers, who ended up being an Omega-level mutant without anyone realizing, because
Right.
she was the first mutant born after No More Mutants.
Gosh.
And her mutant power was, strangely enough, she was like Rogue, but she didn't need to touch people. She just needed to be in proximity to other people that had abilities, and she could
Jeez.
copy them.
Wow, that's intense.
And Cable spent a good time traveling with Hope, trying to keep her away from Bishop, who thought she was the opposite of what Cable thought, because he thought she was the mutant messiah. I think the comics are actually called the Messiah Complex, and Bishop thought she was like the Antichrist or something.
Jeez.
So they had a time-traveling mini-adventure trying to keep her away from Bishop, because he was trying to kill her.
Wow.
And she ended up being chosen by the Phoenix Force because Jean Grey was finally dead. I mean, finally dead.
She's died so many times.
She's dead. She was dead, and she's no longer coming back. The Phoenix Force had chosen her, but she gave it to the other people. She ended up reabsorbing it, teaming up with Scarlet Witch, and then every mutant that was meant to be born a mutant suddenly became a mutant because she decided it's now time for mutants to come back.
So how recent was this? Was this within the timeline of Disney buying Fox and getting the mutants back?
No,
because
this was like...
No More Mutants feels like it was quite recent.
This was 7 years ago, roughly. Maybe 7...
Still recent enough.
Yeah, still recent enough.
Yeah.
I remember... Oh my god, I actually bought the comics on Comixology.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's how old it is.
Oh man.
I don't even think I was in Tasmania when I read A vs. X.
Avengers vs. X-Men, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember an old friend was reading it at the time, and when I knew them, they weren't a comic reader anymore. Like, comics had just become too inaccessible for them. So that was quite a while ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe 9 years.
Roughly or so, yeah. Because I remember there was a one comic where it was just Cable going absolute beast mode on the Avengers. And this was before that they cured him of the TOV, and then he got it again, and then they finally cured him, and then he got killed by his younger self.
Oh god. It's a messed up family, that one.
The Summers, stay well away from them.
Well, I guess to wrap up this episode, the question of what to do with the mutants, and I think just say that they've always been there, is the best course of action.
I think a lot of the changes that have happened in the MCU have really, I think, would be the best way to explain it. Like you said, they've always existed, but because of all the big things that have happened, like the blip, has activated these dormant genes.
Well, I was always thinking like the X-Men might have just had their own conflicts through like the 50s and the 60s, 70s, 80s, but because we've been focused so much on the present stuff, and the world has changed so dramatically, superheroes have become more accepted, it then means we can introduce mutants, and mutants are different.
Yeah.
And there might be some biases here and there which like go back 50 years, but by and large, you know, Rogue and Storm and all that could just walk down the streets and be unbothered and be maybe hailed as heroes even, kind of take a new approach to them and sort of see how old prejudices may lie low, and how you see people who've always hated Iron Man and Captain America and the Hulk and Captain Marvel. Then you could... Brie Larson wants to move on, she could then get Comatose, and Rogue could then go on. And
That's going to be a real shame now, though, if they do bring Storm in. Because now that, sadly, Chadwick Boseman is no longer among us, we don't get that lovely T'Challa and Storm marriage.
Yeah, I will say, watching the classic X-Men series from the 90s, I was quite liking the idea of Logan and Storm.
Yes.
And even in the movies, like, you do get a few Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry scenes, and it's like, this would be quite a nice pairing to see.
They were paired for a while, yeah.
But in those movies, he's never romantically interested in. He's always pining after Jean. Yeah.
I mean, some things are just poorly adapted, and other things are just like, yeah, it's a good concept, let's do nothing with it.
Yeah.
Though, I was going to think of an X-Men thing that I was going to say. I am looking forward to seeing what they do with mutants going forward. I am looking forward to it greatly.
I really want to see Daphne Keane come back as Laura, because now I think she's an adult now, you know, see her.
Roughly, yeah.
She's in that His Dark Materials series.
Well, if you can't get Hugh Jackman, or if you don't want to go and start up a massive, massive crap storm of hiring someone to replace Logan, then to, play the role of Wolverine, just get her back, get X-23 back.
Yeah, do her, and I mean, she can carry that entire series on her back, and she was like 14 years old when she was doing it. She made Logan for me.
Exactly.
As an 11-year-old. She can do it now, as 18, 19, 20. Bring her back. Or just find some really scrawny Canadian dude. Kenny Hotz as Wolverine.
Oh. Then you got to find someone to play Puck.
Spenny, why not?
Alpha
Spencer
Flight. I think you and Jake. I'm pretty sure you and Jake will eventually talk about Alpha Flight if you're going through the original X-Men TV series.
Yes, well, we lost the episode. The USB corrupted, so we had to redo it. But we're going to get together and we're going to go like our favorite episodes because I really loved the X-Men '90s series. It was really good.
I'm looking forward to the return.
Oh yeah, we're going to be there when that comes out.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, that's our Experts. Hopefully, if anyone ever listens to this little thing, Experts is going to be an X-Men podcast where we go through all the X-Men TV shows and movies. We just talked about Generation X, which was a 1996 TV movie, which had Banshee and Emma Frost. It was actually Banshee who voiced him in the animated series, with Matt Frewer, Max Headroom as the villain Maxwell Tresh, who was basically just the Riddler from Batman Forever, going full Jim Carrey. It was nuts. Anyway, this has been a Little Geeks Review. Look back at the MCU as it currently stands while under the guise of talking about She-Hulk.
Yes.
Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. I'm Royce.
I'm Joshua.
Bye for now.